so many years. It was those people who had turned him away. It was those people who put him in the stocks, had him arrested, had him thrown into a pit, wanted to kill him, wanted him dead. He chose that he would stay behind with these poorer people. He was very determined that it was better to stay with the people of God than to go into Babylon, that he might continue to minister unto the people of God. Everything was peaceful for but a moment around Jerusalem and Judah, and that peace would shortly come to an end. I read about Gedaliah and all of these people who came unto him. I'll pick up verse 9. Gedaliah, the son of Achim, the son of Shaphan, swear unto them and to their men, saying, Fear not to serve the Chaldeans, dwell in the land, serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you. Now, is that not the same thing that Jeremiah had been telling them for all these years? He told them for several years, if you'll just serve the king of Babylon, you'll be all right. God brought judgment. Judgment has come. You need to surrender to Babylon. You need to serve the king of Babylon, and everything will be well with you. Gedaliah said, As for me, behold, I will dwell at Mizpah to serve the Chaldeans, which will come unto us. But ye, gather ye wine and summer fruits and oil, and put them in your vessels, and dwell in your cities that ye have taken. Likewise, when all the Jews that were in Moab, and among the Ammonites, and in Edom, and that were in all the countries, heard that the king of Babylon had left a remnant of Judah, and that he had set over them Gedaliah the son of Achim, the son of Shaphan, even all the Jews, refugees, even all the Jews returned out of all places whither they were driven, and came to the land of Judah to Gedaliah unto Mizpah, and gathered wine and summer fruits very much. So these individuals would have been refugees that fled from Judah during the many different besieges, creating words up here. During the many different besieges of Babylon, these perhaps very well could have been some refugees that fled the northern kingdom when the Assyrians came in and took them captive and drove them out of the land. We don't know exactly where all of these people came from, but these are Jewish individuals. These are people of Israel. These are Hebrews who are refugees in other countries who heard that there was peace in and around Jerusalem, and that Gedaliah was the governor over it, and they came back so that they might take up maybe some of their old homeland, that they might help take care of all of these oliveyards and vineyards, and that they might farm the land, and that they might live in peace. And it says there in the last part of verse 12 that they gathered wine and summer fruits very much. Remember, this is the land flowing with milk and honey. It doesn't matter that Babylon had come in and destroyed the cities. It doesn't matter that houses had been burnt down and torn up. It doesn't matter, the land was still a fruitful land. And God had not cursed the land itself during this point in time. It's evident the rains had not been withheld, and it was very fertile, and they gathered very much. Verse 13, Moreover, Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the captains of the forces that were in the fields came to Gedaliah to Mizpah, and said to him, Dost thou certainly know that Baalis, the king of Ammonites, has sent Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, to slay thee? But Gedaliah, the son of Achim, believed them not. So the king of the Ammonites has sent this man named Ishmael to kill Gedaliah, the governor of the territory of Judah. That's very interesting to me. Gedaliah was not an heir to the throne of David. He was not in that lineage. I suppose Nebuchadnezzar was done with the lineage of David at that time, because the lineage of David had only, the royalty of Jerusalem had only caused Nebuchadnezzar problems. So he set up Gedaliah. But you find a man now mentioned, this Ishmael, of course not the same one from way back in Moses' time, his son, Abraham's son, not Moses, Abraham's time, Abraham's son Ishmael, not that Ishmael, a different Ishmael here, many years later, was in the lineage of David. He was royalty. He was one who perhaps could have been set up over Jerusalem, but that wasn't the choice Nebuchadnezzar made. Now, we don't know if what ensues here is because Ishmael was jealous or he thought he had the right to reign and rule or what it was, but Johanan warned Gedaliah, this guy Ishmael, he's been hired as a mercenary, as an assassin by the king of Ammon. Now, you remember who the Ammonites are, right? Way back yonder, under the first part of the book of Genesis, we find that man named Abraham who had a cousin by the name, a nephew. Wasn't he a nephew? Lot. I believe he was a nephew, the name of Lot. And Lot didn't listen to God. Long story short, Lot had a couple of kids with his daughters, and they were the fathers of the Ammonites and the Moabites. So these Ammonites are descendants of Lot. And they hated the descendants of Isaac, or the Hebrews. They hated them continually. So the king of Ammon says, man, I'm going to take care of this Gedaliah guy. And he hires this Ishmael to go kill him. The Bible continues on and says that in verse 14, the last part, that Gedaliah the son of Achim didn't believe him. Then Johanan the son of Kareah spake to Gedaliah in Mizpah secretly, saying, let me go, I pray thee, and I'll slay Ishmael the son of Nethaniah, and no man shall know it. Wherefore should he slay thee, that all the Jews which are gathered unto thee should be scattered, and the remnant in Judah perish? But Gedaliah the son of Achim said unto Johanan the son of Kareah, thou shalt not do this thing, for thou speakest falsely of Ishmael. Well, we've got business meeting tonight, and we don't have a real long time to just pour on in here until nearly 8 o'clock. So I'm going to give you a spoiler alert in chapter 41. Gedaliah doesn't believe him, but Gedaliah dies because Ishmael kills him. Ishmael not only kills him, but Ishmael also scatters away, carries away in captive the residual of the people. On top of that, and Ishmael, he's a bad dude. It tells us in chapter 41, not only did he kill Gedaliah, chapter 41, verse 2, verse 3, he also slew all the Jews that were with him, that were with Gedaliah at Mizpah, and the Chaldeans that were found there, and the men of war. Now this is very interesting because the first verse of chapter 41, Gedaliah and Ishmael are sitting down eating bread together. Now in that day, in that custom, you didn't eat bread with an enemy, and you definitely didn't eat bread with someone that you were going to kill. So he was a very traitorous, backstabbing type individual. And after eating bread with Gedaliah, he killed Gedaliah, and he killed all the Jews that he could get his hands on. Now verse 4 it says, and it came to pass the second day after he had slain Gedaliah, and no man knew it, or people outside of that area didn't know, there came certain from Shechem, from Shiloh, and from Samaria, even 80 men, with their beards shaven and their clothes rent, and having cut themselves with offerings and incense in their hands, to bring them to the house of the Lord. Now this is really weird. And the reason that it's really weird is because it's kind of a mixture between Jewish and pagan traditions and rituals that we find with these individuals. There are many that think or believe that these were some old northern, because they come from the north, some old northern Israel refugees that had, for some reason or another, mixed some of their Hebrew type worship with a pagan type worship. And the reason we say a pagan type worship is because the shaving your head and cutting yourself, that was the worship of the pagans. You remember what they did in the northern kingdom under Ahab when Elijah was on Mount Carmel, and the pagan God worshipers were calling out for their God to send down fire? They started cutting themselves that their God might hear. And Elijah made fun of them and said, scream a little higher, louder. He must be on a journey somewhere and traveling off somewhere, and he can't hear you. Holler again. See, that was pagan worship. But such should be to no surprise for us, because if they were refugees that came out of the northern kingdom, we remember over in John chapter 4, Jesus Christ did something. He ministered unto a woman from where? Samaria. What were those Samaritans? They were seen as half-breed Jews. Why? Because Assyria had sent soldiers, everything, to go in to the northern kingdom of Israel. They amalgamated with the people there. And the worship that they partook in John chapter 4 was a mixture between Hebrew and pagan-type worship systems. And that was the problem with the Samaritans in that time. So I am of the opinion that these men from up in these areas are some of those Samaritan precursors that we find earlier on. And they had come down into that area to worship. When they came, Gedaliah saw them coming. I'm sorry. The wind blew I don't even have any wind. How did it blow? I don't know. Maybe the Lord wanted me to turn to chapter 44. No, that's superstition. So the Bible continues on and says in verse 6, when Ishmael the son of Nethaniah went forth from Mizpah to meet them, weeping all along as he went. He's putting on a show. He's weeping. You see, he's killed Gedaliah and all these Israelites, and they've been dead a couple of days, and he's just there, all them dead bodies laying around, and he's weeping as he goes out to these men that are coming. It says, and it came to pass as he met them, he said unto them, come to Gedaliah the son of Achim. And it was so when they came into the midst of the city that Ishmael the son of Nethaniah slew them and cast them into the midst of the pit. It had been an old well cistern like what had happened earlier to Jeremiah. He and the men that were with him. But 10 men were found among them that said unto Ishmael, slay us not, for we have treasures in the field of wheat, of barley, and of oil, and of honey. So he forbare and slew them not among their brethren. Now the pit wherein Ishmael had cast all the dead bodies of the men whom he had slain because of Gedaliah, which was... Gedaliah was it which Asa the king had made for fear of Baasha, king of Israel, and Ishmael the son of Nethaniah filled it with them that were slain. Then Ishmael carried away the captive, all the residue of the people that were in Mizpah, even the king's daughters, and all the people that remained in Mizpah, whom Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, had committed to Gedaliah the son of Achim. And Ishmael the son of Nethaniah carried them away captive and departed to go over to the Ammonites. But when Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the captains of the forces that were with him heard of all the evil that Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, had done, then they took all the men and went to fight with Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and found him by the great waters that are in Gibeon. Now it came to pass when all the people which were with Ishmael, so Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the captains of the forces that were with him, then they were glad. So all the people of Ishmael had carried away captive from Mizpah, cast about and returned, and went unto Johanan the son of Kareah. But Ishmael the son of Nethaniah escaped from Johanan with 8 men and went to the Ammonites. Then took Johanan the son of Kareah and all the captains of the forces that were with him, all the remnant of the people whom he had recovered from Ishmael the son of Nethaniah from Mizpah. After that he had slain Gedaliah the son of Achim, even mighty men of war, and the women, and the children, and the eunuchs, whom he had brought again from Gibeon. And they departed and dwelt in the habitation of Chimham, which is by Bethlehem, to go to enter into Egypt, because of the Chaldeans, for they were afraid of them. For Ishmael the son of Nethaniah had slain Gedaliah the son of Achim, whom the king of Babylon made governor in the land. So I read very quickly through a chunk of history of a very bad time right after Jeremiah was given his freedom. And these poor people were given freedom. As Ishmael came in and killed so many of them and took the rest of them captive. The very man who warned Gedaliah, Johanan, comes upon all of the dead. And Ishmael going to Ammon, escaping with all of these now his prisoners. The prisoners get away. They go with Johanan. And Ishmael escapes with some of his men to Ammon. Now that's very important leading up to where we're going on Sunday. For the Bible says that they stayed at Chimham, which is by Bethlehem, to go enter into Egypt. Can you think of anything that ever came out of Egypt that was good, biblically speaking? Can you think of any time that they went down into Egypt that it was a good thing for them to be there? If they were ever in Egypt, they were there for judgment, or they were there, or they came out and experienced judgment. It's usually something bad when Egypt is a part of the equation, and something bad was coming. That's a lot to cover for one night. There's a lot to digest there. The thing that sticks out most to me is that Jeremiah desired to stay with the people of God. It meant that he would endure many trials and afflictions. Jeremiah was at Mizpah with Gedaliah when Gedaliah was killed. So he would have been a part of this grouping that Ishmael was leading away unto Ammon. Only makes sense for him to have been there, and which is why he would have recorded it and spoken about it. But God took care of Jeremiah. Even though Jeremiah forsook the potential pleasures of Babylon, it reminds me of Moses, whom Hebrews chapter 11 tells us by faith he forsook the pleasures of sin for a season. Why? That he might minister to, that he might enjoin with the people of God. You know, following the Lord and being with the people of God is not always the easiest route, but it's always the best route. It's always the best route to follow the way of the Lord. We have a business meeting we're going to attend to. I'm going to lead us in a word of prayer, and then we're going to read our minutes. Our Father in heaven, Lord, we thank you so much for the day.